Welcome back to the deep dive. So, I want to start by talking about what might be the biggest lie Hollywood has ever told you about airplanes.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
You totally do. You know the scene, right? It's in every action movie. The hero's flying some little plane, it's all beat up, and suddenly there's a sputter. The propeller stops, and someone screams, "Oh no, we're stalling."
And everyone in the audience thinks, oh, the engine just died. Which, makes sense. That's how a car stalls. You mess up the clutch on a stick shift, the engine quits, silence.
Exactly. But that is, and this is the whole point of our deep dive today, that is absolutely not how an airplane works.
Not even close. It's probably the most dangerous misconception out there.
Right. So let's just debunk this right now. In an airplane, the engine can be roaring at full power. I mean, screaming perfectly fine. And you can still be in a stall, falling out of the sky like a rock.
That's it. Because an aviation stall has nothing to do with the engine at all. It's an aerodynamic condition. It's about the wings. You can glide a plane perfectly fine with a dead engine. Pilots practice that constantly. But you will crash with a perfectly good engine if you stall the wing.
So that's our mission today. We're diving into the physics of flight, specifically the aerodynamic stall. We've got a whole stack of FAA handbooks here, the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, advisory circulars on stall prevention, all the heavy stuff.
These are basically the textbooks for learning to fly. And we're going to use them to figure out why wings sometimes just stop flying, how pilots are trained to fix it, and why looking at a moose could be a very, very bad idea.
I can't wait to get to the moose part. It sounds so specific. But okay, before the moose,
Yeah.
we have to start with the air itself. To get what a stall is, you really have to visualize what the air is doing.
Right, let's just strip it all back.
Right.
When a plane is flying normally, the air flows smoothly over the curved top of the wing. It really just, it hugs the surface.
I like that image. So it's sticky.
It is. Think of holding a spoon under a running faucet. The water doesn't just splash off. It flows around the curve. It sticks. That smooth, sticky flow is what creates lift.
Okay, so smoothness equals lift. But the wing doesn't just sit flat in the air, right? It has to be tilted somehow. And this is where we get to the big concept. Angle of attack.
Angle of attack. Yeah, it sounds like something out of a dogfight movie, but it's really just geometry.
Let's unpack that, because I feel like people confuse it with just pointing the nose of the plane up. That's pitch, right? But is that the same thing?
Not always, and that's a super important distinction. The angle of attack, or AOA, is just the angle between the wing itself. Imagine a line from the front edge to the back edge and the air that's hitting it. The relative wind.
Ah, relative wind. That's the key phrase.
It is everything. Think about sticking your hand out a car window. If you hold it flat, parallel to the road, the air just slides over. That's a low angle of attack.
Right. I've done that a million times.
Now, tilt your hand up a little bit. You feel it. Push your hand up, right? That's lift. You've increased the angle.
But if I tilt it too much,
Yeah, what happens if you turn it so it's like a flat wall against the wind?
it just gets slammed backward. There's no lift. It's just drag.
That's a stall. That is exactly what happens to a wing. As you increase that angle, you get more and more lift. But only up to a certain point. Physics just has a hard limit.
And that limit is the critical angle of attack.
Precisely. If you tilt that wing too far into the wind, the air basically says, nope, can't make that turn, it can't hug the surface anymore, it breaks away. And instead of that smooth, sticky flow, you get this swirling, turbulent mess behind the wing.
The FAA calls it the burble, which sounds kind of cute, but it's not cute at all, is it?
It is terrifying. It's a turbulent separation. And when that happens, lift doesn't just get a little weaker. It falls off a cliff. The wing just quits working. That's the stall.
Because the air just, duh. Let's go.
Yeah. It lets go. And here's the part from the handbooks that really blows people's minds. For any given airplane, that quit point, the critical angle of attack, is a constant. It's almost always somewhere between, say, 16 and 20 degrees.
Okay, wait. I want to double click on constant. So you're saying it doesn't matter how heavy the plane is or what the altitude is?
Nope. Heavy plane, light plane, hot day, cold day. It doesn't matter. The wing always, always stalls at that same critical angle. The wing doesn't know how much the plane weighs. It only knows one thing, the angle of the wind hitting it. Exceed that, and it's over.
Okay, but this brings me to the biggest myth. I think most of us assume you only stall when you're going too slow. You know, you slow down, the plane gets wobbly, and then it falls. That's the intuition.
It's everyone's intuition, and it's probably the most dangerous misconception in flying. The FAA is so clear on this point. An airplane can stall at any airspeed, in any attitude, at any power setting.
Any airspeed. So even if I'm going really, really fast.
Even if you are screaming along. And to understand that, we have to talk about the G factor.
G-force.
Right.
You know that feeling at the bottom of a roller coaster loop where you feel squished into your seat? That's G-force.
Yeah, you feel like you weigh twice as much.
In an airplane, we call that load factor. Now imagine you're flying fast, say 100 knots, and you yank back hard on the controls. Maybe you're trying to dodge something. You're forcing the wings to create enough lift to hold up not just the plane, but the plane plus all that extra G-force you just created.
So if I pull 2 Gs, the wings have to lift a plane that feels like it weighs twice as much.
Exactly. And to make all that extra lift instantly, you have to increase the angle of attack. You have to make the wing take a bigger bite of the air.
Oh, I see where this is going.
If you pull back hard enough, you can blow right past that critical 16 or 20-degree limit in an instant. The handbook has this amazing example. An airplane that normally stalls at 60 knots.
Okay, so 60 is its slow speed danger number.
Right. But if you put that same plane into a steep turn and pull just 1.7 Gs, which is not that aggressive, the stall speed jumps to 102 knots. Whoa. From 60 to 102.
102 knots.
So you could be looking at your airspeed indicator thinking, I'm doing 100, I'm fast, I'm safe. But because you pulled too hard, the wing just gives up.
That's it, exactly. That's the high-speed stall. And it's why we drill into students that stall speed is a lie. It changes constantly. But the critical angle of attack, that never changes.
That really flips the whole script. It's not about how fast you're going, it's about the geometry. It's about respecting that angle.
So, okay, where do pilots usually get into trouble with this? I'm guessing it's not while they're just cruising along.
No, not usually. The real danger zone is low to the ground, where you have zero room to recover. The handbooks point to one place over and over, the traffic pattern when you're coming into land, specifically that last turn. The turn from base to final.
That's the last, U-turn to line up at the runway, right?
Yep. So imagine you're making that turn. You look up and you realize, oh, shoot, the wind pushed me too far. You've overshot the runway.
And the temptation is just to crank it around, right?
Ugh.
I could make this. Exactly. But you're low, maybe 500 feet. Banking really steeply, that low, is scary. It puts the ground right in your window. So pilots try to cheat. They keep the wings kind of level, but they stomp on the rudder pedal to skid the plane's nose around.
Like drifting a car.
Sort of. In the air, it's called cross-controlling, and it's aerodynamic poison. You're creating a massive amount of drag, so you slow down fast. And because you're in a skid, the inside wing is actually moving slower through the air than the outside wing.
So one wing is closer to stalling than the other one?
And that inside wing can just give up. It stalls while the other one is still flying. And the plane doesn't just drop, it snaps over and rolls from 500 feet. There's just no time.
And that leads us right to the moose stall. I saw this in an FAA safety bulletin, and I thought it had to be a joke.
It's no joke. Up in Alaska, they call them moose stalls. Down where I learned to fly in Arizona, we call them coyote stalls. It's all about target fixation.
So paint the picture for us.
You're flying low and slow, looking for wildlife, or maybe looking at your friend's house. You spot it, and your brain just locks on. You want to keep looking at it, so you start to circle.
But the wind is still blowing you around.
Right, the wind is drifting you. So to keep the moose or the house in your window, you have to tighten your turn. But you're not looking at your instruments anymore. You're looking at the moose.
You're flying the view, not the airplane.
Unconsciously, you're pulling back on the stick to tighten that circle, which increases the G-load. You're probably using some rudder to skid the tail around. You are, without realizing it, cranking that wing right past its critical angle. The plane snaps, and you stall, and you are already looking at the ground.
That's chilling, just pure distraction leading to a loss of control. Okay, one more danger I want to hit before we talk about recovery. Ice. And we're not talking about big, heavy icicles, are we?
No, and this is what's so scary. The handbook says that ice with the roughness of just medium sandpaper can be enough.
Sandpaper, that's nothing. That's just a little bit of texture.
It's about 0.8 millimeters. But remember how we said the air has to hug the wing?
That's smooth flow, yeah.
Well, that little bit of roughness trips the airflow. It's like a speed bump. A tiny layer of frost can reduce your lift by 30%. But the real killer is that it lowers the stall angle.
So it changes that critical number.
Drastically. A wing that normally stalls at 18 degrees might stall at 12 with a little frost on it. You suddenly don't know how your own airplane flies anymore.
Wow. Okay, so we know what a stall is, why it happens. How do you know it's about to happen? What does it feel like in the cockpit?
The plane talks to you, if you listen. The first clue is that the controls get mushy.
Mushy? What do you mean?
Well, as the air starts to separate, there's less of it flowing over your control surfaces, like your ailerons. So you move the stick, but the plane's response is sluggish. It feels soft and disconnected, like you're stirring soup.
That sounds unsettling.
Then you get the buffeting. As that turbulent air burbles off the wing, it flows back and smacks into your tail. You literally feel it as a shaking or a vibration through the whole airplane.
And then the plane starts yelling at you, right?
Oh, yeah. You'll get a stall warning horn, which is this loud, awful screech. Or in some planes, a stick shaker.
And that literally shakes the control stick in your hand.
Shakes it violently. You can't miss it.
Yep.
But, and this is a huge point in one of the advisory circulars, this is the startle factor.
The startle factor, that sounds like a trap.
It's a huge psychological trap. You're focused on landing, and suddenly this horn is blaring, and this stick is trying to jump out of your hand. Your brain can just freeze. It's pure fight or flight.
And your instinct is always to pull away from the ground.
I'm falling, pull up. That's what your brain screams. But pulling up is what?
It's increasing the angle of attack.
Which is the one thing you absolutely cannot do. You pull yourself deeper and deeper into the stall.
So, okay, let's get to the fix. The horn is blaring. The stick is shaking. What is the golden rule? The absolute first thing you have to do.
Reduce the angle of attack.
That's it.
That is the only thing that matters in that moment. You have to push the nose down.
That just feels so wrong. The ground is coming up, and the solution is to aim for it.
It's the paradox of flying. You have to point the nose down to give the wing a chance to fly again. Reattach that airflow. Once the wing is flying, then you can pull out of the dive.
The advisory circular actually has a 4-step template for this?
Yes, and the order is non-negotiable. Step 1, disconnect automation.
Turn off the autopilot? Why first?
Because the autopilot might be the thing that's stalling you. It might be trying to hold altitude, trimming the nose up, up. It doesn't know any better. You have to take control.
Okay. Step 2, push.
Push the nose down. Unstall the wing. That's the life-saving move.
Step 3, roll.
And this is a big one. You only roll the wings level after you've pushed.
Why not level the wings right away?
Because if you try to use your ailerons while the wing is stalled, you can make things much worse. To lift a low wing, the aileron on that side goes down, which actually increases the angle of attack on that wingtip.
So you're trying to fix it, but you actually stall that wing even more.
You can snap yourself right into a spin. So you push first, feel the plane flying again. Then you roll level.
And the last step is thrust.
Add power. But notice, that's last. Pushing the nose down is the priority. Power doesn't fix a stalled wing. Only airflow does.
It's amazing how it all comes back to physics, not instinct.
Actually, the physics helps you here. Most planes are designed to be a little bit nose-heavy. The center of gravity is ahead of the center of lift.
So if you just let go.
The nose wants to drop. The plane wants to fix itself. It's often the panicked pilot holding the stick back that prevents the recovery.
We're our own worst enemy.
More often than you'd think.
So if you mess this up, if you use the ailerons when you shouldn't, you mentioned a spin, that's the next level of bad, right?
That's the aggravated stall. A spin is basically a stall with auto-rotation. One wing is more stalled than the other.
So one wing has quit, but the other is still creating a little lift.
Exactly. And that causes the plane to corkscrew towards the ground. It's violent, and it's self-sustaining.
So how do you fix that?
The recovery is different. It's still about pushing forward to unstall the wing, but you also have to use the rudder, the opposite rudder, to the direction of the spin to stop the rotation first.
It's like a specific dance move you have to learn.
It is. And we even practice a maneuver called the falling leaf in training.
The falling leaf, that sounds weirdly calm.
It's a great exercise. You hold the plane in a stall so it's descending, but you use just the rudder pedals to keep the wings level. You're dancing on the rudder, keeping it from spinning.
Oh, you're falling out of the sky.
Yep. It teaches you that even when the wing isn't flying, you still have some control. It's all about building that muscle memory to overcome the startle.
So to wrap this all up, if there's one thing our listeners should take away from this, what is it?
A stall is an airflow problem, not an engine problem. And the only fix is to lower that angle of attack. Push the nose down.
That's it. It doesn't matter if you're in a tiny Cessna or a giant airliner. That 16 to 20 degree limit is the law.
And understanding that, that's what keeps pilots safe. Lost control in flight, LOCI, that's the #1 killer.
Yeah.
And it almost always starts with a stall that wasn't handled correctly.
It really is about respecting the limits of the machine.
Absolutely.
So I want to leave you with one final thought. We've spent this whole time talking about how if you pull too hard, the wing quits. It's a hard limit.
Right, that's the physics.
But then you see a fighter jet at an air show or even just a hawk hunting. They make these unbelievable violent turns, way more than 20 degrees angle of attack, and they just don't fall.
That's a great point.
So, are they breaking the laws of physics? Or have they found some way to cheat? Is there a way to force the air to stick to the wing even when it wants to let go? Makes you wonder.
They definitely found ways to trick the air.
It's something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.
Fly safe.